the Almighty mentioned in a Meccan surah that believers are those who amruhum shura bainahum. Their matters are decided through mutual consultation. That is the significance of mutual consultation according to the Quran. Even though the Prophet ﷺ received divine revelation directly, and we are all guided through him by the Almighty. The Quran tells the Prophet, "Shawirhum fil amr." Consult them in your matters. He didn't need to, but he still has been asked to consult them so that the believers they get into exercising consultation process to implement or to decide their matters. However, because he was the Prophet, the Quran says, "Faiza azamta." Then, when you decide, "Fatawakkal ala Allah," then put your trust in Allah. We find in the lifetime of the Prophet, even though he was the Prophet of God, he actually accepted the advice of his companions, followers. Sometimes in religious matters, one famous incident is when Muslims were proceeding towards the extremely important occasion of Battle of Badr. When they were moving towards Badr, they had to obviously take rest and sleep. So it is said that the Prophet ﷺ, he asked his companions to stop at a certain place and to come down and, relax, find water, put on their tents, etc. And the decision began to get implemented. There was a companion by the name of Al-Hubab ibn al-Munzir. He asked the Prophet whether what he had decided was something he got as instruction from the Almighty, or was it his personal decision? And the Prophet ﷺ said that, well, it's my understanding. I think it's a good place. And he said to him, "O Prophet, I know this place better. There is another place I'm telling you not very far from here. If we go there, it has more shade and there are more water resources over there." And the Prophet ﷺ, it is said, took no time and he instructed his companions, "Let's move on." Another very interesting story is the story of Barira and Mughith. Barira and Mughith were both slaves. Barira, slave girl, Mughith was slave, and they were husband and wife. The wife, Barira, she got freed. The rule was that if a slave and a slave girl are husband and wife, and one of them gets freed, the one who has gotten freed, it is up to him or her whether to continue with that marriage or to discontinue it. And she decided it's all over. As is mentioned in the books of Hadith, Barira was coming towards the Prophet and Mughith was behind her in tears. He didn't want to leave Barira. He was so deeply in love with her. And the Prophet ﷺ asked Barira, "Why don't you continue with this relationship?" So Barira asked him, "O Prophet, is it your own advice? Or is it that the Almighty is telling you that I should continue with this relationship?" And the Prophet ﷺ said, "No, I think it's a good idea. This is my own opinion." And she said that, "I'll not continue with it." It was her decision, my goodness. And poor Maurice, he had to go through those tragic moments.